Today, I want to talk to you about the mind-body connection. Just recently, I watched a Mel Robbins interview with Dr. Ellen Langer. She's a Harvard professor who studies how the mind can heal the body, and she calls it the mind-body dualism. And listening to her just concretes all of my beliefs and everything that I know in my heart that is true. And this isn't everything that we need to heal our body, but it's a big part of it. All right, so today I'm going to talk about Dr. Ellen Langer. And she is a Harvard professor who studies how the mind and body connection can heal diseases. And she calls it the mind-body dualism. And so she basically says that the mindset and mindfulness can influence the body. And mindfulness is actually not meditation. She says meditation helps you to be more mindful. She says a lot of people walk around in this world like a robot. She said most of the time people are not mindful about what they're doing at work. We become robots. We get so accustomed to doing certain things that we forget to be mindful. So here's how I kind of think about what she said. In essence, I don't want you to believe that multiple sclerosis is uncurable. I want you to be at first uncertain about it. And I want you to do research on it. And I want you to find other people who have actually healed, and I'm doing this in quotes, cured MS. I'm going to talk about the word cured later, but being uncertain is a good spot to be. Now, I don't want you to be hopeless. Hopeful, she says, is better than hopeless. But if you can find positivity and knowing there's going to be a good outcome, this is actually better than being hopeful. She also talks about the word try. So she says it's kind of like the Yoda word. Remember when in a scene, Yoda wants Luke Skywalker to raise his, fighter plane out of the swamp. And Luke looks at Yoda and he said, well, I'll try. And that's when Yoda says, do not try, you must do. And I love that quote. And so Dr. Ellen Langer says, I'm not going to try to eat an ice cream cone. I'm going to eat an ice cream cone. I'm going to do it. So I love how she says in this interview and talks about the word try with Mel Robbins in this podcast. If you listen to this podcast, you will be blown out of the water over some things that she talks about. So getting back to the word try, I want to tell you guys about when I saw that Dr. Wall's TED Talk. I was blown out of the water. This was my aha moment. This is when I knew I was going to get better. I knew I was going to cure myself. And this wasn't anything I wasn't going to try. I was going to do it. And I knew it was going to take some time. I didn't know how long it was going to take me to heal all of my symptoms. I could walk okay, but I had numbness, I had brain fog, I had severe fatigue, I had a blind spot in my left eye, I had hermidicine, had all these things going on. But I thought, oh my God, I can heal myself. This is unbelievable. Why don't we know this information? Why aren't we taught this information? Because it's so important. we have been led to believe that we can't heal MS or cure it. We can do it. We just need to set our mind to it, and we need to find out what kind of things we need to do to cure our disease. And I have said the same thing. So Dr. Ellen Langer says, why can't we say we can cure a disease? Like cancer, she says, as an example. Why do the doctors say you're in remission when you have a cold, you cure a cold, right? And she says it doesn't mean that it might not come back, but she says for a period, you have cured a cold. And she wishes that doctors will tell their patients that they either healed or cured, for example, cancer, or in our instance, MS. So what is it that makes people upset? And I've had people on Facebook throw me off of their platform because I told them that I cured my MS, and it's made a lot of people mad because a lot of people don't believe it can be done. And it can. So I have an example, and I've had her on my podcast, Jordan Knight. She actually cured her MS, and she has proof because she was following Dr. Gundry's advice on what to eat, what supplements to take, and other things in her life. And she kept going back and getting more MRIs done until her last one. And guess what? All of her lesions were gone. They were cleared. And she floored the doctors. They couldn't believe it. And they told her, they said, Jordan, if we saw these same results that we are seeing today when you first had your MRI, back when you were first diagnosed, we would never have thought that you had MS at all because we don't see any lesions at all. So in essence, she cleared up everything. She healed her MS. And for me, I knew after 4 to 5 months, after I healed most of my symptoms in 12 weeks, and then the blind spot in my eye disappeared after 4 to 5 months. And I knew I cured myself. Now, did I have an MRI to prove it to myself? No, I didn't feel like I needed to prove it to myself. But now it's been over 10 years and I haven't had any more symptoms since. So now can I say that I've cured myself, or do I need an MRI to prove it to myself or the world that I've cured myself? No, I don't think it's necessary. In fact, if you believe in mediums, and I'm a very spiritual person, I had a friend of mine who is a medium. She's actually a medical medium. And she said she looked into my brain and didn't see any lesions at all. And she said, Adrienne, you have no lesions. She goes, you cured your MS. And that gave me validation. And I already knew that I did. But I'm just that kind of person. I didn't need to spend another $5,000 to prove to myself on that MRI that I cured my disease. I just didn't need to. But some people need the proof, and that's okay. So here's another kind of fun idea that Dr. Ellen Langer did, just to prove that, your thoughts can control your body. What she did was conducted an experiment and had all these men who were 80 years old come in and live in a place that they retrofitted to look like it was set in a time period that was 20 years earlier than their age. This was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. They had furniture during that time period in there. They had movies set up during that time period and TV shows. And they had these 80-year-old men live in these settings for about a week. So then afterwards, what they did is they measured their blood pressure, which improved, their vision improved, their hearing improved, and overall they looked younger. So that experiment had proved to her that if we have a mindset of feeling younger, our bodies actually respond to that. She also did another study involving all of these maids working at a hotel. And they asked these maids, do you exercise? Do you go to a gym? Tell me if you exercise. And most of them said, we don't have time to exercise. We're just too tired when we get home from work. So what they did is they took these women and they did an experiment. And they told half the women, they said, you don't realize this, but you're moving your body all the time. When you're a maid, you are making beds, you're cleaning, you're going from room to room, making sure that everything is in the right place. You're moving your body, you're exercising every day. And so they had those maids believe that they did exercise every day. And so after about 4 weeks, they measured again all of these women. And the women who believed that they were exercising, which they were at work because they were always moving, they showed a decrease in weight, lower blood pressure, less measured body fat, and their waist sizes decreased. So it's important how you think about yourself, even when you do go to the gym. She also talks about the placebo effect. There's been many, many studies on people taking a placebo pill or a sugar pill, thinking that it is some sort of medication. So a placebo effect is taking something, thinking that it's going to do something when it actually doesn't, but the body responds as if you were taking that medication. So this study has been done time and time again. So what you think, if you think that drug is going to work, it's most likely going to work in some sort of capacity. So if you have MS and you are taking a drug, but then you're also changing your habits and you're changing your diet and you're changing your lifestyle, you actually don't know if the drug is doing the work or if you are doing the work. I've talked to lots of people called the Path to Reverse Multiple Sclerosis, and a lot of them, even though they were changing their habits, they were still taking medication. And then they got to a certain point. And some of them were afraid to wean off their medication because they thought if they stopped taking their medication, then their disease might come back or they might get more symptoms. But it's not true. It's all in your thoughts. So I know this is true because when I healed myself, I wasn't on any medication. So I know that medication is not needed. Dr. Ellen also says that stress is a major killer. She says when people are diagnosed with the disease, that, myself included, she says, give that patient 2 or 3 weeks to kind of adjust to the fact that they've been diagnosed with that disease, but then later measure your level of stress. It's the unknown. And if you can take away those thoughts and just know you're going to get better as long as you change your diet and you change certain lifestyle habits, you need to know that you're going to get better. And this is what I did. It's absolutely possible. I want you to put these possibilities into your head as you're healing. And this doctor says that stress, too much stress and worry wins over any dietary changes you make, any genetics or medication that you take. And stress happens when we view the outcome of a certain situation. So stress is always up to you, whether you're going to have a high level or a low level or no stress at all. And so she also gives the idea of don't be pessimistic about your disease. She says most people that are pessimistic is kind of like giving permission to that outcome. So if you think about the worst that's going to happen, that's probably going to happen. So I want you to think about a positive outcome. I want you to think that you're going to get better. And then she says, don't say you're fighting a disease. And this is me. I don't even want you to be an MS warrior, because then you're attaching yourself to that disease. A lot of people say, I'm an MS warrior, or you'll see that all over the place, MS warrior, or people wearing t-shirts saying MS warrior. And what I want to tell you is I don't even want you to have a t-shirt with the word MS or multiple sclerosis on it, because then you're attaching yourself to that disease. And I don't want that to be you. And Dr. Ellen Langer also says that let go of decisions that you made in the past, because she says at the time you thought you made the right decision. And so she says she doesn't want you to have that negative loop of you beating yourself up about making that bad decision. She says, because that's only going to make you feel worse, not only psychologically, but physically. When you're stressed, this is all your decision. So I want you to figure out another solution. If you're stressed about a situation, I want you to think about the most positive outcome that there is. And because I know it, I want you to know that you can heal MS. It's going to take some time and it's going to take some work. You've got to change your diet and your lifestyle. This is what most people have to do. And stress is a big part of that. But know that you can heal. If you have any questions or you want to reach out to me, you can email me at info@nourishyourway.com. And if you need support healing your MS, set up an appointment to talk with me. I won't pressure you, but this way you can decide if I'm the right fit for you. And if you do decide to go with me to help you heal and reverse your MS condition, know that this is an easy and joyful way of doing it. So thanks for listening. Until next time, nourish your way to health.